Sinister Sisters podcast. I'm Felicia.
And I'm Lauren.
And we're best friends.
And we love scary movies.
And we're festive as fuck right now. Oh, I shouldn't cuss. I'll bleep it.
Can you do that?
Yeah. I can figure it out.
Okay.
We're here. We're in front of the fire. I am wearing Travis's Christmas blazer because I don't have an ugly sweater, but
I have
Lauren
an ugly
clearly
sweater.
does.
Do you know why this is my favorite Christmas sweater?
No.
I've told so many people, but I've never told anyone on YouTube.
Wow.
I have always been fascinated by what this snowman is holding. Can you even see?
What is he holding?
Like, I think
Is it a
it's
mallet?
supposed to be a shovel, but it really looks nothing like a shovel.
He looks sort of like a detective. Like
Sherlock
this is a detective
Holmes.
hat, and that's his cape, and that's a magnifying glass.
Oh, I like the magnifying glass idea. I've never heard that.
Wow, I'm very creative.
I've always thought a marshmallow on a stick.
Oh, I can see that too.
Or perhaps a piece of another snowman he's holding.
Dark.
I know.
I like it.
Okay, carrying on.
Carrying on, today we're talking about the new, the controversial Black Christmas remake.
Oh yeah, baby.
Dun, 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 dun. We saw it last night together. We both waited for each other.
We did.
Because I feel like lately we haven't got to see as many movies together.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for us to make these
It is important.
moments.
And then we love to just come out with the content late. After everyone has already reviewed it.
That's why I'm here. It's hilarious, actually, because we walked out of the movie, we went to the bathroom, as one does, and I opened my phone, and I was like, oh my god, Lauren, Trump was impeached.
Right after we saw this very feminist movie.
So that was really funny. But first, before we hop into the new one, let's talk about the old one.
Let's talk about it.
We're really going to skip over the 2006 version because I didn't think it was very good. It's a little fun. It's very gory. But I don't feel the need to talk much about it, if that's fine with you, Lauren.
We're not talking about it.
We're not talking about it. So Black Christmas, 1974. So this is a Canadian slasher film by Bob Clark, who you'll know from making the iconic movie that plays 24/7 on Christmas.
A Christmas Story!
A Christmas Story! So two good kids.
Did you know that I knew that?
I was hoping you would.
I was like, is she setting me up?
I was trying to set it up, and then I was like, I feel like Lauren knew that part.
I know. I listened to a podcast, and I learned that.
That's good. I feel
he must just love Christmas.
Yeah. Oh my god, he must love Christmas. He is Canadian, and it's very cold there.
He's also not alive anymore?
No, he died. I think he died. I did watch the Joe Bob Christmas special where they did Black Christmas, so some of these facts are just ripped off of Joe Bob.
That's
but
right.
that's okay.
I feel like he'd support you in that.
I would hope so. But yeah, just a couple of things. This is sort of noted for many people as the original slasher film. It has a lot of the slasher formula that we have learned to know and love throughout time. But because it technically came out before Halloween. And it originally came out under a different title. It was called in the U.S. Silent Night, Evil Night.
Wow.
Yes. But because they thought a movie called Black Christmas, they thought people would think it was a Christmas movie about black people. And so they decided, let's rename it. And then everyone said, we get it. And so they renamed it back at some point when they re-released it. So let's talk about it. Just a little bit. It stars Olivia Hussey, Keir Dullea. I don't know how to say it. Apparently he was very famous. He plays the boyfriend. I don't know any of his work, but people say he's famous.
He's like a very sexy 70s man.
He's very 70s. He's as 70s as it gets, I think.
But I was like, ooh, do I like this?
Oh, do
When
you?
I was watching it, I was like, oh, do I like the 70s
He's such an
man?
asshole, but do we like it?
Okay,
He's handsome.
He gets assholey pretty quick.
Yeah, he does. But when you first meet him, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
We also have Margot Kidder.
The skinny legs. Okay.
We also have Margot Kidder, who plays Barb. Oh, Olivia Hussey is our main lady, our final girl, by the way. Margot Kidder plays Barb. She's sort of like the badass, drunken sorority sister. We have Andrea Martin. How do you say her name? Andrea. I was going to say Andrea. Andrea Martin, who is a theater actress that Lauren and I both love dearly, and was also in this movie. Did you see her in Pippin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think maybe the only thing I've ever seen her in.
No, you saw her in Noises Off. I was like, Noises Out?
Noises Out. See, neither of us can talk today, so.
Noises Off.
Blah, blah. It also has John Saxon, who you'll know from Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah, Nancy's
dad. Okay, yeah.
Also playing a cop.
Yes, exactly.
He only does one thing.
Cop. I'm sure he does other things. We just don't know what they are.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So yeah, as we said, this definitely has a lot of the tropes that we start to learn about throughout our studies of, horror movies. But the thing that I want to note about it before we get into the remake is that it's very progressive for its time. One thing that I hadn't even realized in my first watch, but noticed on my rewatch, is there's not really any sexual violence.
No.
There's not really any boobs.
Zero, right?
The women die in very, I think zero. The women die in non-sexual ways. They don't seem to be being punished for being female in any way. It just sort of is like slasher, simple slasher.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Olivia Hussey a little?
Oh, just in general?
Oh, no, sorry. About the character's name that I can't remember right now.
And that's why you threw it to me.
And that's why I threw it to you.
And Jess. So I think it's interesting because she actually doesn't seem like she's going to be the main character at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I kind of thought Barb would.
Yeah, me too. Barb is like kind of a more exciting, interesting person, in my opinion.
She's crazy in a fun way.
She's crazy.
Oh, and also in a real way.
Well, that too.
Yeah. We don't have to talk about it.
But also she feels like she has more star power to me.
Yes. She's more like charismatic and blah, blah.
Which she goes on to be Lois Lane, so like.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, can I say my story about the psychic?
Yeah.
This is, I stole from Joe Bob, but Olivia Hussey, apparently, she was a big star at the time. I mean, I saw her in my middle school class watching Romeo and Juliet, and they had to fast forward through the part where we see a butt and a boob or something, but it was very exciting.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
There's sex in that?
Yeah. And she was only like 15 when she filmed that. I know, it's crazy.
Whoa.
It's crazy. Anyway,
she is great in that, though.
She is. She's amazing. And so she was actually quite famous at this time. And so to go to Canada to film this movie seems like a strange choice. But apparently her psychic said, hi, you're going to get an offer to go do this Canadian film, and it's going to make a lot of money, so you should go and do it. And then she got the offer for Black Christmas and was like, I have to do it.
It's in Canada.
It's in Canada. So she did.
It is odd. Where is she originally from?
Isn't she British?
Is she British?
She seems
British. But I don't even really think she's doing a British accent. It's like I don't know.
It's
Eastern
sort of like
European something.
It sort of seems like someone trying not to have too much of a British accent.
Yeah, but it's a weird choice that they never talk about.
But her sort of like interesting thing about in terms of also being an unlikely final girl, she is not a virgin. She is pregnant.
Yeah.
And wants an abortion, and they talk about it very openly.
It's very interesting, and it's also, I feel like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of another movie where, like, I've seen a guy say to a girl, like, don't get the abortion, I want you to keep the baby.
Yeah, it's
because I feel like, I mean, I just saw Dirty Dancing, which is, like, the total opposite of, do you remember that?
I haven't seen that in years.
But there's a girl that gets an abortion in that, and it's, like, the guy is, like, fully on board with that, and, like, whatever else.
Get rid of that baby.
Yeah,
and exactly. He's like, we're going to get married and we're going to have this baby. And she's like, I don't want to.
She's like, I have my own dreams. I have my own life. It's really, I thought it was crazy that it was that progressive. And just, like, not shaming of that in any way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, clearly the filmmaker is on the side. Like, we as the audience are on the side of Olivia.
Yeah.
Or Jess, excuse me.
Yes. But, yeah, should we just give a little bit of the... I mean,
the plot?
Yeah, basically it's a sorority house over Christmas break, and there's a killer...
Inside the house.
Well, yes, that's the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah, the killer's inside the house.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good.
I actually listened to a podcast that was, like, talking about how it might not be Billy, and I thought it was really interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, who would it be? The boyfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's really, like, the first time, because I didn't see this film until last year for the first time, and that's what I thought when I was watching it, is I thought it was going to be the boyfriend that was killing everyone.
Right. It is interesting that, like, as far as our other slasher movies that we know...
Sorry, I just reached into this pocket of Travis's blazer and found a matching tie, so I'll just put that on.
Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne, baby.
But I was going to say there's a whodunit aspect to this movie that's not, you're never like, is it Michael Myers?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Mean,
because you don't see
Jason.
the killer. You only get one flash in the killer in this movie. Obviously, this entire video is going to be spoilers, including when we talk about the new Black Christmas, so just...
Spoilers.
But you never see Billy. You see his point of view, which is, of course, the slasher thing that comes up again in Halloween. We see that shaky cam view, and then we only really get to see his eyeball, this like red eyeball, like towards the end of the movie. And he says like it's Billy or whatever he says.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, it's not clear. It's really kind of a murder mystery.
Yes. And they have, there's a great reveal when you find out he's in the house.
Yeah.
But the deaths are very cool.
I love the unicorn death.
Yes,
That's
one of them is
my favorite.
Which that part is a little odd to me too.
Oh, really?
Just that Barb has like glass figurines.
It's the 70s. I don't know.
I'm like, she was like the most like sexualized probably.
Oh, totally.
And like not even really.
And not I wouldn't say sexualized, just like someone that has embraced their sexuality and like is having fun with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She talks about
the least conservative.
Yes, there we go. The least conservative. We have that moment once again stolen from Joe Bob. Do you watch my videos, Joe Bob? Do you? You'll probably never know. But there is the moment also when she goes to the police station and she tells the guy that the phone number he needs to call starts with fellatio, which is like some sort of code. And he doesn't know what that means. And apparently the actor himself really didn't know what that meant.
What?
Yeah, because he just didn't know that word. And so he was like in the scene just saying the word, just being like, I really don't know what this is. And finally somebody told him, and I think that's very funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and apparently I think he said John Saxon had to tell everyone how to pronounce it. I was like, it just wasn't a common word at the time? I don't know.
I guess so. No one was saying it.
But that's a really fun moment of the movie.
Yes. And they're like, it's all very Christmas feeling.
Yes, he says. It is rated R.
Yes.
Because we're going to move on to a PG-13 version of this very shortly. But something that always stood out to me about the original Black Christmas also is that the phone calls, I find to be the scariest part.
They are so scary.
Yeah. They receive phone calls at the sorority it's from Billy, but they don't know that at the time. And he's just saying the nastiest, dirtiest, grossest.
Including like the C word and
the
also
C-word.
Pussy. Am I allowed to say that on your channel?
I think so.
But
we're not afraid.
But it's really intense.
Yeah.
That first one where all the girls were like in the group, I was listening to a podcast, and they said that the girls were not actually listening to what is in the film.
Really?
It was like some other version of that, and so like when they watched it, or like
the movie,
when they watched it back, they were just like, oh my god, that's so much more vulgar than what they were listening to. But their reactions are really good.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I wonder what they would have been if they heard what was really happening.
I know.
Okay, do you feel okay to move on to the new one?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we saw it last night. And the first thing I will say is before this movie even came out, there was a lot of fire on the internet about it. The first thing that came out obviously is that it was going to be written and directed by a woman, which I don't think anyone came out. I mean, maybe someone did, but the majority of people didn't seem angry about that at first. That seemed okay. And then it came out that the movie was going to be PG-13. And that got people really mad that a Black Christmas remake was going to be PG-13. And I listened to a podcast. So the director's name is Sophia. I hope this right.
Takal?
Is it Sophie or Sophie?
Sophia.
So the director's name for this is Sophia Takal. Hope I'm saying it right. I listened to an interview with her on the Boo Crew podcast, and she said, because the original thing was like, oh, they took out all the good stuff to dumb it down to a PG-13 movie. And she was like, honestly, no, like they had to like take out the F word a couple of times, but what was shot is basically what we saw. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like they took a gorier movie and toned it down to PG-13. Like what we saw was the intention.
But I heard there were like R versions of the kills. Is that true?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't hear that.
Maybe she didn't say that. Okay.
I don't know.
We'll see when the DVD comes out, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. And the other thing I do want to mention is that this was sort of a shocking announcement, because didn't they announce it like in September or like October?
It felt very late.
It was really late, and they were like, all of a sudden it was like Black Christmas coming.
Coming now.
December 2019, and I was like, what? Like, have they even been making this movie? How have we not heard about this? Because it feels like a big deal. And then when I listened to that podcast, apparently she was approached by Jason Blum in like February or March of this year, being like...
This year!
Of being like, can you get this out by Friday the 13th of December? And she was like, no, but I'll do it because I'm not going to say no to directing a Black Christmas remake.
And as like we talked about with, I feel like our earlier podcasting, it's like with women, it's like you might not get that second chance. So it's like
Exactly.
I feel like
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, I feel like so much people are like, can you do this? And women have to say yes, because if she said no, maybe they wouldn't come back the next time.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a huge opportunity for her too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes. Even if I didn't think I could pull it off, I would be like, I'm going to do it because otherwise you're just going to ask someone else.
Right.
Yeah. So, we saw this movie last night. We had a pretty delightful time in the theater, particularly when two large men stood up next to us and started freaking out because they saw a mouse. We never saw it, thankfully, but we just hear, oh, there's a mouse, and I was like, what is happening? And they got up and they looked at us and they were like, there's a mouse. And
both of us were like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I think we might have said words out loud.
I think we did. And then
we
they
were
left.
like, what are you doing? Yeah.
And they never came back.
They might not have bought tickets. I'm not sure.
No way. You think?
People love to sneak into movies.
I wish I had the bravery.
We buy our tickets every time.
We do. But that was, honestly, that added a lot of extra tension to the movie.
I was not okay after that.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, it's so stressful. But we never saw it, thank God. Anyways, so the movie started, and I do want to, I think we're going to structure this a little bit in terms of, like, first, let's start with the problems of the movie, because it has problems, and then talk about what we liked about the movie. But before we do that, I do want to talk about the opening sequence.
Yes. And I was going to say, maybe we should do, like, a little general plot. I guess we can talk about it while we do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go ahead.
It's very different than the original. We should say that. They took sort of the, I would say, most important elements of the original film, like place and time, and but then everything else is very, very different.
Right. I also heard, this might not be true, because now I'm like, I didn't listen to the director actually talk, which is what Felicia did, but I also heard that she was told to pick 3 things from the original.
Oh, I think that is true.
That's true.
I think that was in there, yeah.
That Blumhouse said, pick 3 things from the original to include.
Yeah.
That, like, resonate with you.
That makes sense.
That was sort of all she was tasked with.
Yeah.
To keep to the original.
Yeah, and apparently they were very open with, like, and now do your thing.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you want to do. And that she did. So I do want to mention also that there was another writer on this movie that she brought in. Do you have it up right now?
Yeah, April Wolf.
April Wolf. So yeah, they worked on the screenplay together, and then Sophia directed it. So the opening sequence of this is sort of like, I almost said A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is a movie, but also like the sequence that we're about to talk about. This girl walking home from her final class, walking back to her sorority house, and someone starts following her. And it's this moment, I thought it was a very well done sequence because as a female person, I feel like I go through this a lot, where, especially we live in New York. I mean, anywhere is not safe.
Yeah.
Nowhere's safe. But walking home in New York, it's like this moment of like, okay, I'm on my phone, I'm walking, I can feel someone behind me, that person is too close to me, okay, I'm getting stressed, are they going to attack me? And that person turns the corner, okay, I'm fine now.
Yes.
And I even have had moments. There is a point where she puts her keys between her knuckles, which comes up again later in the movie, actually. But I have done that before because of literal fear of someone gonna get me.
And it's also like such a taught skill.
It's a taught skill, yeah. Like I was taught that by friends.
Yeah, which like I was just about to say, like who teaches you that? But I guess it's your friends.
Other girls. Yeah. And it somehow does make you feel more safe. And so we have this opening sequence of someone that ultimately starts to feel stupid for being scared of the guy behind her because someone else ends up attacking her. Mm-hmm. And we have a nice little chase sequence, a little death in the snow. Oh, and your favorite moment. Or
my favorite moment is so the killer reaches up and takes an icicle off the house.
Which is a little like the unicorn.
It is.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. And stabs her with the icicle. And then her arms sort of, I don't know if it's in the struggle.
Something.
It's sort of in the struggle and then also in the drag, but it makes like a snow angel under her body, which is very cool.
It's a very nice moment. I thought that was very beautiful. Very beautiful. That death was just very beautiful. But yeah, and so I think that opening sequence, I was
and
like...
no blood.
Oh yeah, no blood. Because once again, we are a PG-13 land. Yes.
Sorry.
Wait, bring it.
No, we're going to talk about it. No, it's a later moment. I just had a realization.
Do you want to write it down?
No, I know. I'll remember.
You'll know.
I'll know, because it's very stupid that I didn't think of it before.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so once again, people were pretty
Sorry.
upset that it was going to be a PG-13 movie. I wasn't really bothered by it because I've had to see a lot of PG-13 horror movies that I like. And I sometimes enjoy a PG-13 horror movie because I know it's accessible to kids that want to watch horror movies.
Definitely.
And they can go see it in theaters, and that's exciting.
Definitely.
And so then from this point, we do go to the sorority house, and from this point, the plot is quite different. Our main character, who ends up being our final girl, is or not really, but we'll talk about that too. Riley Stone. She is played by Imogen Poots, which is a very funny last name now that I say it out loud. But Riley has been a victim of sexual assault and seemingly of rape by a fraternity brother. She is in a sorority. Apparently it happened a couple of years ago. And so the movie sort of starts out with this group of girls in this sorority together, and they're dealing with some bad campus politics, things like that. It's very heavy-handed.
Yes.
In terms of like...
Very early on in the movie, we see a professor, like, give a speech about how, you know, just because he's teaching the classics that are all by white men, like, doesn't mean that he's not, you know, having a fully rounded vision kind of thing.
And not only that, but the thing he reads at the beginning.
Oh, right, the quote.
I can't exactly remember what the quote was.
The quote is basically saying, like, when women try to be feminist, they're using, like, the vocabulary of patriarchy.
Yeah, something
right?
like that.
Which, like, basically I interpreted to mean, like, instead of, you know, like, when we're fighting for equality, that's not, like, what feminism, you know, sometimes feminism goes too far into, like, women are better than men instead of equality.
Yeah.
I think.
Something like that. So we already have, and also, like, some of the t-shirts the girls are wearing, they're trying to petition to get this teacher fired. There's a lot going on. They're very politically active on campus. We find out that...
I actually kind of want to, like, I don't know if this sorority is political in any way.
Yeah.
But if it was more explained that it was, I would feel better.
Yeah. We have one character. Is it Chris?
Yeah, Chris is the friend that's super
into it.
Activist-y.
Yeah, and we find out that she's played by Elise Shannon. And we find out that she also had a statue of the founder of Hawthorne College, which is where we are, by the way. His statue, or bust, removed from its original place on campus. And it was moved into a frat house because that he was a racist. He had slaves.
Misogynist.
Yeah, just a bad man. But so we have this battle of, like, some women wanting to fight against these bad things about the college, and then some of the men at the college taking those things as their traditions and being very offended to, like, not want to take down their traditions.
Yeah.
And what, like, Hawthorne, the history of Hawthorne, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yes. Should we say more plot, or should we just go into, like...
Issues?
Or what we like? Or, yeah, I guess issues.
Issues first, and then we'll come in strong with the things we like.
Yeah.
But basically, besides those things, it has sort of the structure of a killer killing off sorority girls. My first kind of issue that I just realized while I was looking at this is, like, I kind of wish we didn't know it was multiple killers in that first scene. I feel like if they had extended this, like, idea that it could be one person longer, it would make that scene where they finally kill him, and then someone else shows up, is like, that would have been more impactful if, like, because the first scene, you know right away it's more than one guy.
That is such a good point. And we know right away that it's this frat.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's a mystery at all that, and even Riley walks in on them initiating pledges and stuff, and it's like, it's clear that the dudes in the cloaks and the masks are the ones doing the evil things. It's, like, very, very clear.
Right. I feel like most of my issues come from it sort of being, like, a muddy screenplay. It feels like there are, like, a lot of ideas going on.
And the writing, I will say, feels, as we've already mentioned, feels extremely rushed.
Right. They just didn't have enough time.
Yeah. Like, a lot of cheesy lines. This one girl has to have this whole line about her favorite animals and how her favorite animals are ants, and that all of her friends are ants and they're stronger together and all this stuff. And I'm just like, It's very cringy.
It's
and I
really
get
cringy.
it. Like, I understand what you're trying to say, and I support what you're trying to say. But some of the lines are pretty cringy.
And it's also hard. I just feel like even things like the ant metaphors, like, I just feel like ants are very much like they make it more about, like, we're all part of a, tribe, sisterhood. We're all one thing. Together, we're stronger. If you kill one of us, like, you hurt all of us. But it's, like, also ants have that culture of, like, just, like, mindlessly doing their task, which is so opposite.
That's a good point.
I don't know. They're just things I feel like aren't fully fleshed out. Like, even the, so my biggest probably issue is the supernatural element. So pretty quickly, actually, I don't know if it's not that quick.
It's not that quick.
It's at the end, I guess,
Yeah.
really. We find out that this bust that they had removed is channeling
The spirit of
Hawthorne.
Yeah, and it's like crying, this like icky black liquid that we find out is being used to possess all these boys, to make them strong and part of this group, and to
sort of brainwashed.
punish, and brainwashed, and to basically punish women that are trying to rise up to their level or trying to, fight back in any way.
Right. And I was gonna say that I didn't think about the black goo coming out of them probably helped with their PG-13-ness.
Oh, you're probably right.
Because I know that, like, that, red of blood, there's some other movie that we talked about where the blood was green.
Oh, you're so right. What was that movie? I just heard. What was that?
I know.
It's like a movie that came out that they made all the blood different colors so they could have a lower rating.
But
If
so
you
anyway,
know,
I was just
let us
thinking
know.
about that maybe that was another thing that I thought about.
Yeah, that's smart.
Was like, anytime they kill these boys, they bleed black.
Yeah.
So it's not like, against the rating enough.
Also, I will note that today, so after we saw, we were both like, that was fun. That had a lot of fun elements about it. Definitely problems. Blah, blah. But throughout the day today, I actually ended up liking the movie more and more the more I thought about it. And Lauren texted me and was like, I like the movie less and less now that I thought about it. Which I think is sort of both of our, like, what happens to us a lot.
Yeah.
Where she thinks very critically, and I am always, like, very enthusiastic.
I was just like, does this happen to us in every aspect of our lives? Probably not. But
Maybe not every aspect, but I feel like I'm just easily delighted by things, and you have a more critical eye.
I like to pick things apart.
Yeah, which is fine. So what else? Well, I wonder what is your biggest problem with the supernatural aspect of it.
So I think because they're talking about rape culture specifically on college campuses, which is so such a huge issue and something that's being brought to light, relatively recently. I don't know, it's been for a while, but still I feel like people are believing women more and more, thankfully. But we're talking about it. Yeah, Me Too movement. If we're going to talk about it in this real way, and especially in Trump's America, that then by adding the supernatural element, it just like it gets murky for me, where I'm like, are those boys still bad or are they possessed by something else? And like, where is the line between what is them and what is Hawthorne? And, like, how, I don't know, I just felt like at the end I couldn't really relish in them all being destroyed because I was like, but, like, did they know that they were signing up for all of this?
Are they being punished for being possessed, or are they being punished for being, like, evil men?
Right. And it's, like, some of them are clearly evil.
Yeah.
But then it's, like, some of them that are, like, more recently possessed, like, I just feel unclear.
Like
and
the
then,
pledges, like, did they know that they were going to be killing women? Like, did they know that was part of the deal? I don't know.
And even, what's his name? Landon, like Landon, who they meet, and he's a good guy, and
our good guy of the movie,
the good guy of the movie,
one.
the only one. Which also, like, I felt even that was like very heavy-handed to have like one good guy, and then there's one girl that like goes bad.
Yeah, true. Which I want to talk about her too later. But.
Yes, but it just felt like if we're gonna talk about real things, like I just don't want it to be muddied with supernatural stuff. And the other thing is that like even Landon. At the very end, you, like, see him, like, clenching his fists, and you're like, is he fighting it? And then I'm like, are people able to fight it? Where, like, are people fighting it? And we don't know? And those people died? Like, I don't know.
I'm with you on that. And it's sort of this mix of two things where it's like you have a movie that is being extremely literal.
Yes.
And very heavy-handed with its politics, which I'm not against.
And very 2019.
Very
like,
2019.
We are 2019.
And it makes, and so you have all these things that are extremely literal, but then you add this supernatural aspect sort of as this way to maybe I don't even know exactly why it was added. I don't want to say alleviate male responsibility or something. I don't know exactly what it is. But you'll have a movie like the original Black Christmas where that the stuff in it, it's not like I'm a feminist film, I'm being really straightforward about this, but the way in which the movie is made makes us understand that it is the female perspective and it is much more progressive and all these things.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it would have been better or worse with the supernatural.
And I think this is not really the supernatural part, but I think I said this to you at some point where I was just like, do you think there's any men that will see this and feel excited or interested or like, wow, what a, fresh take on Black Christmas?
Yeah.
And it's like, I almost think it went so far that there's no possibility for men to learn or, I don't know, be in it. Which, like, we always talk about, like, many male horror movies, like, we still like them, even though it's boobs and...
Rape and murder. And women being shamed sexually and naked while they are murdered.
But it's like, I do feel like in some ways, like, sadly, we have grown up with the male perspective our whole life, and so we have accepted that in some way, where, like, I know my brothers, if they saw this, wouldn't like this movie at all.
Yeah, no, totally.
It's like there's no in for them.
And I think there's two things about that. I'm so glad you said it's like what we grew up with, and so that's what we understand as normal.
Yeah. Which is messed up.
Which is messed up, clearly. But because of that, it's like men have never seen or are not used to seeing movies where they are shamed and destroyed.
Right.
And so I can understand why that would be difficult.
Or alienated.
Exactly. And what I like to say to that is, like, should I go into what I liked?
Yeah. Am I done?
Is there more? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, I think... Yeah, I'll try not to go too hard when you start.
Okay, that's fine. And if you want to, we agree on a lot of movies. And so we were actually excited to, like, have differing opinions for once, so I'm excited.
And also, as I said to Felicia, I enjoyed my time in the movie. And obviously, like, am a feminist and support so many things that it fights for and stands for.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. It's like, never mind. Actually, I'm just going to go into what I was going to say.
But maybe it's a good movie if we can have a debate like this.
Yeah. So the thing about men probably not liking this movie, and I will say since the movie came out, I have been like overwhelmed of the Twitter community and the horror YouTube community and people lashing out, and men, I will say, mostly men, lashing out on this movie in a very aggressive way that is not typical for a movie, even a bad movie that comes out. And I understand people have a nostalgic or shiny feeling about the original because they grew up with it and whatever, and so they don't want to see their original film that they love so much changed in such drastic ways or whatever. Or maybe they just didn't like the movie. But what feels aggressive to me is that people seem to be attacking the fact that it is a strongly feminist, heavy-handed political movie. And I think that's interesting for a couple reasons, but one thing I do want to say is, like, that movie they are not the target audience for this movie.
Right.
Someone on Twitter, and I wish I knew who it was, and if I can find it, I'll link their Twitter below, but somebody wrote that they wanted to see a teenage girl watch and review this movie, and I was like, right, like, that's why this needs to be PG-13, that's why the movie is as heavy-handed as it is, because even things that Laura and I might have found cheesy or a little over the top or whatever, or heavy-handed, I will say. A 13-year-old girl that is just learning how to be a woman in our world and learning that it's a lot harder than it looks might go into that movie and see, oh my God, it's going to be horrible, but maybe I can survive it, which is not something that you typically see in a horror movie. And something they keep bringing up in the movie is this idea of being a fighter. And though I think they say it way too many times.
And way too emphatically.
Yeah, it is this thing of, like, right, women stand together, keep fighting, and we can survive this together. And that's something else I do want to mention that I really like about the movie is there isn't actually a final girl. It feels like there's going to be, but there's actually a final group of girls.
Yeah, a big group.
Yeah, a big group, which is extremely rare. And it sort of felt like season 7 of Buffy to me, a little bit.
With all the Slayers.
With all the Slayers, and coming in. And that was one of my favorite scenes, is them coming in at the end and, like, fighting and killing all the men with their various Christmas and Hanukkah objects.
Yeah.
But what that scene did for me that I feel like women don't necessarily get to get a lot is, like, this giant feminine catharsis of, like, and that's what I think horror movies is a lot. It's like the idea of, like, ripping something to shreds is overwhelming and exciting, and it is gross, but it is somehow this huge, like, release to watch, which I think is part of the reason we like watching people get ripped to shreds in horror movies. But for this one, to watch a giant group of women sort of rip all these men to shreds was very exciting for me, because I feel like it's typically the other way around.
Never seen, yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought that was really cool. Sorry, I took notes on my phone.
I almost, like, wish it had, I don't know, I feel like it was, like, marketed poorly then. Almost like in a Jennifer's Body way.
Maybe.
Because I feel like it was more about it being a Black Christmas remake than, like, I never felt like I heard that it was, I mean...
Gonna be so different.
I guess, I mean... I feel like the trailer probably was like, this is very different.
Maybe it's like the Chucky thing.
Yeah.
Where the new Chucky, I love the Chucky movies, even the bad ones. And so when I go in and watch a character that I care about or know and love, and change so much to the fact that it's not that character anymore, it's a totally different thing. And what I said about that movie is I was like, it's not a good Chucky movie, but it's a good possessed doll movie.
Right.
It's just different. And so I wonder if that's sort of the same thing going on here.
Right, because I do think that's what's happening. So I wouldn't even really call it a slasher.
Interesting.
It's like not that many people die. It's not the same formula. It's many killers. It's like it's almost more of like an action movie.
Horror movie, yeah, that's an interesting point.
It's not like a horror movie in the way that like you're unsettled
it's supernatural.
or like
yeah. That's a good point.
Like, I was not scared.
There was moments that I was tense, for sure.
I guess tense.
Mostly because, like, I knew something bad was going to happen, and I was like, oh, that girl's going to die. And then she did, and I was like, oh, that girl died. Who was that character? We, like, loved her and hated her.
Fran.
Who's she played by? Let's see.
She is played
Natalie. Oh, Nathalie. I hope that's spelled wrong.
Maybe it's actually Natalie.
I think it's supposed to be Natalie.
But with an H.
I don't know. Natalie Morris. But this character was just, like, so dorky and strange. She's the one that puts her diva cup in front of
a pad.
What?
She just sticks the pad in her pants.
No, it was a diva cup.
No, because her diva cup is stolen.
Oh, I thought she gave her a diva cup.
No, it's just a pad.
Oh.
Felicia was impressed with how smoothly she put it up there.
That's what I thought. I was like, that is amazing. What's also hilarious...
At least I think.
What's also hilarious is, like, right before we started recording this, we were talking about that moment... And how, well, first of all, how a lot of men probably have no idea even what a diva cup is, because it's not as popular as, like, tampons or something.
And we're not even really sure of how it works.
Yes, and so we started talking about it, and first of all, we got into a whole discussion on whether you're supposed to flush your tampons or not. We both do, so I hope you're supposed to.
Hope no one has bad plumbing when I'm at your house.
But the diva cup, we were like, right, so, like, obviously... Lauren was worried about pouring out the blood and if that would be gross to her. But we were both just like, but it seems so large. The diva cup in the movie, and maybe, I've never had one, I don't know. They seem quite large.
Was it cleaned?
I don't know.
Sitting on that altar all pretty.
I don't know, must have been cleaned.
Yeah.
If you know more about diva cups, let us know. Should we try it? I don't know.
Give us some recommendations.
Oh, man. What were we talking about?
Fran?
Oh, just how that's, like, kind of she's, like, a fun and silly character. She has one line that I thought was funny. She was like, Merry Christmas from one Jew to another or something.
Yeah. From this Jew to you.
Oh, this Jew to you, yeah. And she also has a fun little moment where she's looking for her cat.
Yes, Claudette.
Which
I didn't realize the cat in Black Christmas Original is Claude.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I didn't know
Claudette.
that. I didn't know that. You know what this movie was also missing that I just realized? A house mother.
Yeah.
In the original, we had that wonderful alcoholic house mother who is very silly and also dies.
Because I feel like house mothers are things of the past.
Oh, it's not really a thing anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
We don't know about sororities.
We also didn't do that. We went to college in the city, so that wasn't really... I think it was a thing.
It was a thing.
I wasn't interested.
We're too cool for sororities. Unfortunately. We give each other...
You're my sister.
Yeah, it's like we are each other's sorority.
Exactly.
Coven. Did you know that guy was that girl's boyfriend? I wanted to talk about that.
What?
Did you always know the guy that was with them was that girl's boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, there was like a moment where I was like, is that the gay best friend?
Oh, I thought that at the very beginning when he's
Yeah.
helping them get ready or something.
Yeah.
I thought he was the gay best friend.
Yeah, he was like, that's what I'm here for, take the pictures. And I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
oh.
And then it was, eventually you realize that that was her boyfriend. And he also started having this, and this was also a little confusing to me, and probably
the
why...
migraines?
Yes. The supernatural thing that I didn't really think was working is the men kept having these moments of like, oh, like, I'm being taken over, I'm fine again. Oh, I'm really angry now, I'm fine again.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you're not even in that frat.
No.
So I didn't understand, like, how the connection was happening from the bus to, like, people outside of that frat.
Right, and then I was like, is this, like, a metaphor for, like, all men will have, like, fuck-ups? Because that's, like, not fair.
Yeah. And so, I guess the thing I wanted to... the reason I like this movie more and more today is because I think we're about to be in a... From the trailers Lauren and I saw at the theater last night, 2020 seems to have a lot of very feminist horror movies coming out. Mm-hmm. And as I think we know and can look at in our history, horror movies tend to reflect whatever people are most terrified of at the time that the movies came out.
Right.
And so right now, in this very Me Too movement, and women are very scared of losing control over their own bodies, which that even sort of comes up, and that's what bothered me about this movie, is some of these things that are coming up in the film are stated in such literal 2019 words.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'm curious if this is going to hold up in 10 years.
Right.
Or if it's going to be too of the moment. Just in terms of, like, a lot of the phrasing. Like, one time he says, like, one guy in a condescending way when he's trying to get Riley to be part of the dark side. He's like, your body, your choice, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I understand that feels impactful because that's what we're dealing with right now in society. But I was like, is it too of the moment that it's not going to make sense to people in 10 years? Or is it still going to be just as bad in 10 years? I don't know.
That's true.
It's a little hard to understand. But even so, I think we can sort of eventually... I feel like in the future we're going to look back on this movie and be like, I'm glad somebody said something.
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody put it all literally into horror movies. So I feel like a lot more people can put it in different ways. I don't know if I'm articulating that well, but I think we're going to have a big flood of feminist horror movies because of all the fears women are having and because women are having higher access to director and screenwriter positions.
Thank you, Wonder Woman, truly.
Thank you, Wonder Woman. And people are putting more money into women-led projects or even female character-led projects. And so I think we're going to have this big wave of these movies showing all the fears that women are having right now. And I think that's really exciting. And so I'm not saying this movie did it perfectly, because I don't think they did, but I am grateful that they had the balls enough to do it.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how I feel.
I know, and I do wish they had been given more time.
Do you like that I said balls enough to do it? Like, that is the patriarchy, bitches. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's bad.
Anyways.
But I wish they had been given more time, I guess, to, like, fully flesh out that idea. Because it feels like it was just too rushed. And also that, like, I don't know why Friday the 13th felt necessary enough. Because I do feel like...
I agree.
If women are the target audience and, like, we didn't know about it for so long, it's like...
If they had waited a year and put a lot more time and thoughtfulness into the script, I think things could have been really different.
Yeah.
And I still think a lot of men would have hated the movie.
Totally.
But I think it would have been a more impactful film.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, if this could be a gateway horror movie for a bunch of young girls, that's what I want. Like, that is the best case scenario for me for this film. Is that a bunch of 13, 14, 15-year-olds go see this movie with their girlfriends and are like, fuck yeah, like... I'm empowered. Like, hopefully that's what goes down. But I don't want it to be this thing where it's, like, labeled as a bad movie so no one sees it.
Which I'm scared has already sort of happened, but...
And I don't really think, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think this is the Jennifer's Body situation, where Jennifer's Body when that came out, Karan Kusama and Megan Fox were receiving hardcore death threats all over the internet, and it was brutal and awful. And now they just had their 10-year anniversary, and they're being re-interviewed about this movie as this like amazing feminist badass horror comedy that people shamed for so long, and now are like deciding is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure that's going to happen with this film, but I think it will be a thing where people are going to look back at the male reactions to the film even more so than the movie itself.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah. So,
well,
what do you think? I know a lot of people didn't like this movie. I know some people did like this movie. And I want you guys to tell us in the comments what you thought about it. And I also want to know why. I don't want to hear it was a bad movie. I want to hear it was a bad movie because of these reasons.
So, she smiles.
But yeah, is there anything else you want to say about it?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
The reaction to this, the reaction to this movie on Twitter also reminded me of like, maybe it was like a year ago or something, but I recommended the movie XX on Twitter, and that is a bunch of short films written and directed by women. And that was one of the first times I've ever received like a lot of aggressive feedback or aggressive comments of pretty much all men aggressively hating it. And I was like, wow, I really liked it a lot. And there was so much I loved about it. And a lot of men just being like, this is the worst thing ever made. And I was like, is it? Is it the worst thing ever made? Because I feel like there's a lot of really bad horror movies. And that's how I feel like what's going on right now with Black Christmas, where people are like, this is so bad, I hate it, and like aggressively hating it. And I'm like, that's what I'm not clear about. Is like, are you hating it because of the same reasons you would hate another horror film that came out? Or are you hating it because of its like political messaging and how it makes you uncomfortable? Yeah. So it's a hard conversation, and I don't know the answers necessarily. I can make generalizations, but I don't think that's helpful either.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I think at some point already in this video.
Bring it on.
Maybe.
Tell us again.
But I was going to say, like, there are a lot of movies that I feel like we couldn't talk about for this long.
Exactly.
So it's like something interesting is happening.
Exactly.
Regardless of what I felt, too.
Totally.
But, like, it's like we couldn't debate about, I don't know.
If it was a bore, if it was a movie that didn't matter, we wouldn't be able to talk about it as much as we have.
Right.
And there wouldn't be so much uproar about it if it wasn't making people feel something. Which is what it's supposed to do. That's what you texted me today. Or that a horror movie is supposed to make you feel something and think about it. And it seems like it's doing its job.
Right. And it's not,
It's not perfect.
And also, like, we're not going to forget about this movie.
Yeah. So I think that's it.
That's it.
We hope you have a wonderful holiday. I know we're in Christmas stuff, but if you're a Hanukkah or atheist, that's all chill too. And we hope you have a nice scream and...
have some sweet, sweet nightmares.
Bye.
Bye.